Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back.
Well, that was a pretty lively break there.
Amy, Veronica, and Desiree, Savory in the house. Let me tell you, it's been a great conversation. Great idea, by the way, to go to an open mic forum.
This has
I really
been,
appreciate that.
Hands down, I think this has been the most lively off-air show we've had in a long time. We're over here.
There's a party going on.
I'm admitting about how old I am in my behavior and how I use technology. I'm like, I don't want to use the phone to search for stuff. I'm like, all I want from the web and the phone and that sort of thing in dealing with companies is what's your telephone number, what's your address, or how can I email you or leave a message quickly to go on. I'm not going to sit there and browse and read for hours on the phone. Either I can't see or something, but it's annoying to me to have to do that. I have a 32-inch monitor in my office. That's great for me.
You're just spoiled.
Yes. and walking around with a 32-inch phone looks a little ridiculous. So,
It's nice,
kind of like Desiree's phone over here. I said she has a phablet. It's a phablet.
Yeah.
It's a plate.
Goat screaming
Definitely
again.
a plate.
So I've noticed that. Remember, we went down phones as small as the StarTAC back in the
I had the StarTAC little.
Yes, little flip phone.
and now they're growing again.
Well, I had the Palm 3XE, if that tells you how dated I am with technology.
Oh, I had all those Nokia clamshell phones. I loved them. The little small.
And the only thing you could do with them was make a call.
Nothing to do with anything. One of the funniest SNL skits I've ever seen in my life was with Will Ferrell, and it was he plays this fashionista snob guy, and he comes cruising out on a cart, and the phone rings, and he pulls out a phone that's like the size of a dime, and unfolds it with like the clamshell. Hello. It was hilarious.
Okay, but we use our phones not to even talk anymore. We use it for everything else.
That's right.
I really did not see it coming. I think when the first time we had a trio, that's when I started realizing this thing is really going to be doing something in the future. But I don't think I was really kind of in my consciousness at how much we're going to depend on it. Because you go to, we're actually talking about phone-free zones now. And someone told me the other day that these couples go to dinner and everyone has to put their phone on the table. In the table. And whoever reaches for it first pays the bill. So we've gotten so mesmerized by this.
A statistic I heard here recently is that the average person engages their phone 150 times a day.
Oh, my.
Well, they obviously have not been in my house. I'm joking. But you know what? I've found I don't talk on the phone like I used to. And if I have to return a voicemail, and I know that person's going to be a 20-minute phone call that we could have accomplished in 3 minutes, I do straight to voicemail.
So are you telling me you're avoiding phone calls? Is that what you're telling everybody
Rob, when I
out there?
see it's you calling, I take your call.
Yeah, Rob rarely goes to voicemail.
Right, yeah.
But,
funny.
our human need is to interact with each other organically. And so, how can we actually take our organic need and transfer that in a virtual world? And so that's what we have to look at. How can we take that and make it into something virtual? And we can do that using social networking. So we have to find a way, realtors have to find a way to do that in a way that we take who we are and get our audience, the people that we want to reach, to connect with us using social networking.
And they're surprised when we take that step to meet them in person.
Absolutely.
They're actually surprised. Like, what? You're going to take time to see me?
To know me.
It's not a text.
As a person.
I set that appointment up by text message, but it's still a face-to-face.
It's a conduit for the personal touch and stuff. Of course, you get two realtors in a room, you're beginning of a party. They are a very social group of people.
You talked about social networking. I just had this happen yesterday, and I used to invite my clients to follow me on social networking. Now I stopped. I let them know that I'm there, and they can choose. I had one that we've been back and forth emailing. They're not going to move down till August. She said, "Oh, by the way, I'm following you on Instagram now." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, I haven't had that one happen yet." So they want to connect some way or another.
Yeah, and if we give them the choices of the things that we use, so when I want to work with a realtor, I'll ask them, what type of social networking do you use? From a standpoint where maybe we can communicate, even visually. Do you use FaceTime? Do you use Google Plus?
Yeah.
What are you using as your video? So if we want to actually see each other and give them a choice. So,
yeah, I met a client recently, had the same experience as Amy, where the first thing when we met at the restaurant for lunch, the first thing she says, "Oh, you're so busy. I've been following you on Facebook." And,
Oh, wow.
and she knew about my activities. I just forget that my clients are connected to me on social
there's
media.
so many out there. I mean, they got Pinterest, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, LinkedIn.
Oh, that's the app I tell my clients to download.
Twitter?
Pinterest and
Pinterest.
and House.
A
So they
House.
get House,
I
so they
have
get
House.
ideas of properties. That's one of the big ones.
It's
that
a
I
lot
use.
to keep up with, though. I mean, I'm typically just a Facebook guy, and I have a Twitter account, and I'm on LinkedIn, but I've got a Facebook primarily.
Yeah, my main contact is Facebook. Most people can get me there, but I actually have just started with a couple clients using Evernote Chat. So a couple of my clients saw that I use Evernote, so we set up a shared notebook, and now we use Evernote Chat to talk. And these are both, I will say, both of them are engineer clients, and both of them are younger generation, but they thought it was awesome that I used Evernote and would share a notebook with them.
Yeah, Evernote's very powerful. I'm using about 10% of its capability right now. I think.
Oh, let me play with you, Rob.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't mean it like that.
This is a technology show. Anything that happens after the studio, please don't repeat it here.
The best offer I've had today.
Rob is already done. He's already
Okay.
calendar's out.
Wait. I meant about apps. I meant about apps.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So Pinterest now. Let's talk a little bit about Pinterest. I know that it's getting more activity that people are using it to communicate, but it's primarily was set up for like a bulletin board for pictures in the beginning. So how are you all using Pinterest?
I haven't had time to deal with Pinterest. There's so many social media outlets out there that I can only have a handful, and the rest have to just languish.
A lot of people actually merge Pinterest and their personal now. If you have a personal page, you can go to business.pinterest.com and you can connect the two together.
Right.
They just recently have released the statistical component of Pinterest.
Well, I hope my assistant's listening, because then she's in charge of that.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that you're in charge of that, guess what?
Right.
You're in charge of that.
So now you can actually merge them. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to do that. But you have private boards. If you don't want to share anything, you can put things into private boards. But it's a really great place for you to actually create a relationship and share the type of,
Social object that they have.
Yeah.
For a realtor, what should they be putting on Pinterest? Who's their audience?
I'll tell you how I use it, and because like the Corcoran Group is one of the best Pinterest boards I've ever seen
Absolutely.
out there. And I'll give kudos to Matthew Savold, a friend of mine that left Corcoran Group to go to Wall Street Journal. I use it a little differently. When they say, "Can you come over and help me give staging ideas?" Well, I do, but you need to do some homework on your own first. And so I send them to Pinterest. As well as House, get ideas. This is what the consumers are expecting in a house nowadays when they walk in, thanks to HGTV. So we start pinning back and forth ideas of how they should fix that room up. I also use Pinterest, and I will pin ideas of kitchens for my new construction buyers. Before you go to the design center. Here are kind of things that people are looking for. And so you don't have to end up in a divorce at the design center. And then they'll go, we're interested in this. What do you think of this flooring for that model that we're buying? And so we pin them back and forth. So that's how I'm using it in real estate.
Do you put them in the idea books in House?
Yeah,
or do you put them into Pinterest?
I put them in the idea books.
Oh, okay. So you put
No,
the idea books?
I don't use House as much. I use Pinterest because most of my client base is more using Pinterest.
Okay, cool. So you can you share them there.
Right, I share them through Pinterest.
Okay.
And it's kind of weird. A client started it with me, and I told him to download Pinterest and just look at it. Well, then she started pinning me. I'm like, wow, I could do this as a two-way.
Absolutely.
And then when they want a decorator for a hire people, both the decorators I use will start pinning them on Pinterest ideas. What do you think of this? What do you think of that?
One of the nice things you can do in Pinterest too is when you set up your account, because of the fact that when somebody starts seeing the boards and they see the labels of the boards, and you can start using the hashtags inside each one of your boards and on your posts that you have. One of those boards would be a board that actually describes your brokerage. And in there, you would have a description for each one of your agents. And inside there, you can have, for example, a link to the YouTube video that describes each one if you'd want to do something like that. Make it stand out by doing black and white. Everybody does color, right? So do something like a black and white a video of each one of your team members and so forth, things like that, to make it stand out.
Yeah, I would think that something like that, if especially a new agent could
Absolutely.
set up they would make them look big,
And
it would
big,
make them
big
look like
thing
they've
to
been
do,
experienced
third
for a long
person,
time.
do not do your bios in I am. Nobody
yes.
searches that way.
You know,
All
Joan,
third
Chris,
person.
remember when we used to have a show?
I know. Right? Hey, real quick,
Well, you know,
we're
I'm
down
actually-
to the last couple
the
minutes of the
guys
We're
show.
down to the last couple of minutes, and we want to do our lightning round right now. 30 seconds for each one of the ladies to let the audience know about what you would like, what final thought you'd like to leave them with. We'll start over here with Amy and work our way on down.
Time management apps. So Easily Do is my favorite. Buy Me a Pie, I cannot live without. So those are my two time management for personal lifestyle.
How about you, Veronica?
Oh gosh, just make sure you're not overwhelmed with apps, and choose carefully, and only choose the apps that you're going to use. And once you implement a few, then you can add one at a time, so that you're not overwhelmed having 500 and whatever she said that are going unused. But Amy has that many because she's testing.
She's testing. I
testing.
definitely agree. And Desiree, what would you like to leave everybody with?
Make sure you have a vision. Work your way from the front to the back. Start with what it is that you want and work your way backwards, and make sure before you actually start that you know what you want to do to make yourself happy.
Have a business plan.
You know, and let me tell you, I would absolutely agree. You know, this has been one of those incredible shows. We're going to have it posted out there on Facebook and on YouTube. If you know, for all of our agents out there listening, go back out there and listen to it. There's been some great ideas. Also, look us up on the realestateratpack.com. You can hear these shows. You can also access these beautiful women, and more importantly, get some ideas from. You know, one of the things the real estate community is very good is about sharing. You know, we all want to share and exchange ideas with each other, because it's all about improving not only ourselves, but our like individuals that are with us right there. You know, one of the things we always do, we talk about leaving the show with a good quote. And I actually have a great technology quote today, believe it or not. It's from Northrop Frye, and it says, "The most technologically efficient machine that man has ever invented is the book."
Oh, wow.
Pretty interesting, huh?
Well, I'd like
Anyway.
to thank our guests today. They did an awesome job.
They did an incredible job, and until next time, we are out.
You know, so-
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is
Yes, I'm
Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.